I'm the president of AFT 2121, which is a local of the California Federation of Teachers, and AFT stands for American Federation of Teachers. We represent all of the faculty at City College of San Francisco, that's counselors, instructors, and librarians who are not in the department chairs unit. My role is to work with our leadership and our other elected leaders, but also to work, of course, with all of our rank and file members and with students and with the community and with the rest of the college to ensure that the needs of faculty are met. And we think that our role is also around defending public education and ensuring that City College is a good place for students to be and is here for the long haul in a good way. Well, that's been changing a lot over the last couple of years. We've lost a lot of faculty. In fact, we got some new data today that shows us that we've lost, over 260 faculty members just since a year and a half ago. 266 faculty we've lost since fall of 2011. So we're down to about 1,500 people, which is much less than the 2,000 people we had 5 years ago. So the budget cuts, the downsizing of the college, the pressure right now, there's some significant downward pressure on enrollment, on staff and faculty, and on the college overall. The thing that we always look to first is that the funding crisis has been huge in the community college system and in public education overall. So there's no doubt in our mind that the kinds of drops we've seen in funding and the cuts have made it significant and really challenging to run a public institution right now. And the downward pressure around the public sector and public education have been really, really challenging throughout public education and certainly in our community colleges. In the last several years, our community colleges have lost 500,000 students in California. So that's huge. And I think at City College, there are a lot of factors that go into the current situation, but certainly the attempt to not lose students and to not push students out, and likewise the attempt to not downgrade faculty and staff working conditions, which has been very challenging, and I don't think we can say that we've done it, as well as overall, we really tried to, while we tried to save students, we tried to keep cuts away from the classroom, and we tried to save jobs. We tried not to lay people off. And that caused some tremendous strain as we kept a lot of the funding in the classroom, but didn't fund other things at the college that long-term, or even medium-term, that created some huge challenges. Well, we want to ensure that part-timers don't lose benefits, and we have continued to say that that's not an option for us. For 30 years, our part-timers have had access to benefits, and just saying, no, never mind, we don't need to insure you anymore, or we only want to insure half of you, as has been suggested, or some piece like that, really isn't an option for us. It's not a reasonable thing to do for our most vulnerable faculty and some of our most vulnerable employees. But I don't think that's what San Franciscans said when they voted for Prop A at 72.9%. Sure. It's a good thing. It remains to be seen exactly what will happen with the reorganization of the departments, and of course we're really concerned that it hasn't been transparent and that it hasn't been done in good faith or with the expertise of the folks who really know how things work. That is something that we've seen happen at other colleges, as particularly with ethnic studies, as those classes get shunted to the side as maybe not the core academic things. We don't want to see those go away, and we want to ensure that they remain intact. In my classroom, when we talk about both sides of the story, we often like to open it up and consider that there's not just two sides, that things are nuanced and complex. So I do think that the much of the coverage has not been balanced, has not shown different voices and different perspectives. So I agree with that overall. And I also think there are a lot of the complexities get lost as agendas are pushed and various ideas are moved forward. And that's been disappointing. And I think it's also been disappointing not to hear more voices and more of the exciting things that the college does, which clearly the community knows about, but which isn't necessarily presented in the media as things get boiled down to a couple of pieces or what a couple of folks are saying. One of our big criticisms has been disappointment around just what you're asking about. That there there's a lot of pressure around the timeline, and there are opinions that the administration has about how we need to proceed. And frequently we've felt left out, and we're one of the major constituency groups, but we've felt left out even in the collective bargaining process where we've really been circumvented. I sit down once a week with with folks from our union to do bargaining with the college, and we feel left out even with that going on. And even though we're sitting on the work groups and I'm even on the steering committee, but we don't always feel like we're listened to or engaged. I know from students, we hear from students all the time that they've been asking to have a meeting with the chancellor. They've been asking for a town hall. They want questions answered. They want to understand what's happening. I think everyone wants to understand what's happening. I think that we have a lot of work to do with the community of San Francisco to ensure that voters were not misled, but right now I think they are being misled. I certainly feel that we were misled and that the college was misled. But also that if you looked at the Prop A ballot, the ballot language, it was very clear about what the funds would be used for. The funds would be used for programs and maintaining classes to prevent layoffs. And the big one was to offset state budget cuts, which have been tremendous over the last year. So it was to start to fill the funding again that had been cut so that we didn't have to downsize the college further. The first part, I would just reframe it. I'm not, when we say too big to fail, that assumes that, it assumes that we're talking about banks, right? I think every public education institution should be too big to fail, not because it's too big, but because it's too important to lose. And I think that City College of San Francisco is too important to lose. It's too important to San Francisco to lose. We're certainly concerned about having new interim folks come in, or folks with power from the outside who haven't gotten to know the college and don't necessarily have the depth of experience with San Francisco and our students' needs in San Francisco and our community's needs in San Francisco. So I would frame it a little bit differently, we definitely have that concern.